started a riot. Prior to this happening, there was footage of them holding up a sign to a security camera in their cell. The sign demanded that their human rights be provided. After this display, the inmates were able to break the doors to their cell. They had been chipping away at the sides of the doors in preparation for this. A riot started and several of the Syrian Democratic forces that were guarding the prison were injured. In all the chaos, 12 men escaped, but the Syrian military was unclear about whether or not these men had been recaptured. At number 5, we have the riot in Rio. Back in 2017, tensions were starting to get high at a prison in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. At this particular prison, capacity was for 592 inmates, but 1,224 were in prison there. This, combined with 2 feuding gangs, led to a massive riot where 56 people were killed and many more escaped. The riot was so big that word came down the grapevine to 2 other prisons where the inmates there had riots in response. At one of those prisons, 86 men escaped, and one of the dudes escaping posted a picture of himself on Facebook while he was breaking out. That has to be his new profile picture for sure. At number 4, we have the Sao Paulo State Penitentiary. Inmates don't like social distancing. With the spread of this deadly virus, there have been a lot of changes. One of those changes was to the inmates at the Sao Paulo State Penitentiary. Many of these inmates are under partial sentences and are allowed to leave on certain days of the week. But with the spread of COVID-19, this freedom was taken away. Well, they were not having it. On March 16th, over 1,000 men rioted and overpowered the guards and broke free of the prison.
Fragmented into you now. Not only fragmented you, but then you took it and then you shaped it into your reality. You get what I'm saying? Like, you took that fuckery and shaped it into your reality. You get what I'm saying? Like, and that's what makes it even worse.
Brutal riots of all time. During this riot, at least 5 prisoners
because now
escaped,
you did it
but
willingly.
that was just a side
you know what I'm saying? Like, once you willingly do something, that's like you willingly signing a contract.
Went crazy and took
I
over
mean,
the
like, it's hard.
They took hostages. Most of the
hostages
hostages were prison guards, and the rest were inmates. Many prisoners took this time as an opportunity for revenge. There had been several inmates within the prison who had been working as informants to prison guards, and this is a big no-no in the prison world. So anyone who was known to be a rat was killed, and not fast. They were slowly tortured. It took 36 hours, but eventually police were able to regain control of this facility. And
the realization settles in. Once the realization settles in, it's like
Brazil. They have some of the
deadliest
prison riots in the world. People are frequently killed in prison riots over in Brazil. In 2017, 140 people died in prison riots. And in 2018, there was a massive riot at the prison in the city of Goiás. 2 rival gangs started a turf war in the prison, and all hell broke loose. 14 people were killed, and of those men, one of them had their head sliced right off his body. During this time, 109 prisoners were able to escape. I also read when something like this happens, the guards just kind of let it happen, because if they try to intervene, they will just end up dying, so they kind of have no choice. For the number 1 spot, we have EDS and the Iranian prison riots. Electronic Data Services was a tech company working in Iran in the 1970s. They had been working with the Shah, and when the Ayatollah decided to storm the country and take control, it was time for EDS to get out of there. But in the process of trying to get everyone out, 2 American workers were captured, William Gaylord and Paul Chiparone. William Gaylord and Paul Chiparone were now locked up in Iranian prison, which is probably a hell I can't even imagine. The American government wasn't going to step in, so it looked like both these men were lost to this horror, even though they committed no crime. Well, thankfully, they had the best boss in the world. Ross Perlott was the CEO and was determined to get his men free from this prison.
I think it's European, to be honest, because it means a bundle of gaming's happy.
This caused a riot,
and
and
that shit, it comes from Old English. So
Dude,
I'm not sure who, like beyond that, to be honest with you.
No, but like, that's what I'm saying. It sounds so strange today.
Big matchup this week. I can't begin to imagine what's going through his mind.
Let's get it. I'm off for 16, passing the ditch of deep. I know that's not a challenger. I get some members with me in the freaks, get cold seats, they some cannibals.
Either way, Joe Burrow is him.
People always ask me, how do I have so much free time? Because I'm a top tier funded trader. That means I get to live life on my own terms. I get to work whenever I want.
I get to work wherever I want.
And most importantly,
It's easy to believe that extraterrestrial life exists somewhere out there. Mathematically, it just makes sense. But a lot of folks have a harder time believing aliens have already made contact with us. And what if I were to tell you that they may be walking amongst us as we speak, already having seeped their way into the population? I'm your host, James, and these are the top 10 alien-human hybrids the government tried to conceal from you. And we're starting off the list with Dulce Base. Some whistleblowers have claimed that Dulce Base, a supposed underground facility in New Mexico, is involved in genetic experiments, including the creation of human-alien hybrids. The origin of the Dulce Base conspiracy theory began back in the 80s when UFO researcher Paul Benowitz claimed he had intercepted electronic communications between alien beings and the U.S. government. Benowitz's reports included mention of this base. One of the most prominent claims associated with Dulce Base involves the creation of human-alien hybrids. Some conspiracy theorists suggest that extraterrestrial beings collaborate with the government at Dulce Base to conduct genetic experiments, resulting in the development of hybrids that possess a combo of human and alien traits. These hybrids are often portrayed as part of a secret agenda.
Hey, yo, fuck that picture. I'm gonna set everything on fire.
Capabilities and serving other unknown.
We're gonna set it on fire.
Next up, we have the Young Hae Chi theory. Dr. Young Hae Chi, instructor at Korean at Oxford's Oriental Institute, made some interesting statements a few years back. Alien abductions have been reported for years. It's always been a mystery as to why they occur. Are they experimenting on us, implanting us with unknown alien devices? Well, according to this instructor, these supposed abductions aren't malicious in nature. They have more to do with alien beings attempting to overcome climate change. In a 2012 lecture, Dr. Chi discussed how a highly advanced alien species had already made contact with the people of Earth, interbreeding with us after these abductions, attempting to form a race of hybrids to colonize the planet. He talked about how the rise in alien abductions seemed to coincide with major problems arising on Earth, like the invention of nuclear weapons and the increasing changes in climate, and that the aliens' belief is that a more intelligent hybrid species would fare better at protecting the planet. He went on to talk about it being a human's job to not only protect the planet for our own good, but to prove the aliens wrong and their assumption of superiority. At our number 8 spot, we have the friendship case. The friendship case refers to a series of alleged contact experiences between humans and extraterrestrial beings that occurred in Italy between the 1950s and 60s. The encounters were reported by a group of individuals who had been contacted by a highly advanced alien species who claimed to have established peaceful and cooperative relationships with them. The story goes that a number of face-to-face meetings and telepathic communications happened between the contactees and the aliens. These encounters reportedly took place in rural areas away from the public eye, and the humans were shown like alien bases on Earth, as well as other highly advanced scientific and spiritual knowledge being shared with them. According to the contactees, these alien beings were all about the importance of peace and unity and ecological balance. The friendship case gained attention in the UFO community because of the detailed accounts and the consistency of these accounts amongst multiple witnesses. Some folks have speculated that during these peaceful interactions, some of these folks may have gotten a little handsy with their new space friends, resulting in some alien-human hybrids. Number 7, the Antonio Vilas Boas abduction. In 1957, a Brazilian farmer by the name of Antonio Vilas Boas reported one of the strangest alien abduction stories in UFO history. He claimed that on the night of October 15th, he was working in his family's fields when he saw this bright red star-like object in the sky. This object, according to Vilas Boas, descended and eventually landed, revealing itself to be a strange egg-shaped craft. From the craft emerged humanoid creatures wearing gray overalls and helmets. These beings abducted him, taking him aboard their craft. Described the aliens as around 5 feet tall, with small blue eyes and white hair. He claimed that they took samples of his blood, conducted medical examinations, and then led him into a room where he was introduced to a naked humanoid female. Oh boy. The sounds of his description, they sound like attractive aliens too. Round, small, beady eyes, white hair. I mean, come on. According to Antonio, though, this one actually was pretty attractive, and apparently they proceeded to have a bizarre encounter. Afterwards, he was released, and the craft ascended back into the sky, leaving him alone and confused in the field. They didn't even buy him a drink. He later reported the incident to his family, who would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that awkward conversation. I would not tell my family about that. That is something I would maybe tell a couple friends about, but not my mom and dad. Eventually, the story reached the Brazilian military and local authorities, and his account drew a lot of attention from the media and UFO researchers. There are some terrifying alien abduction stories. Take Travis Walton's, for example, who was experimented on in his crazy ways. Gotta say, though, as creepy as this would have been, not the worst thing that could happen. At least, I don't know, at least for me, alright? I don't know. It's not every day you get to, anyway. Let's move on. Next on the list, we have the Dr. David M. Jacobs theory. Jacobs taught history at Temple University. He also spent 35 years interviewing people who claim to have been abducted by extraterrestrials. First, he was a complete skeptic, but the more people he interviewed, the more he started to notice just how similar these accounts were. Despite coming from people who had seemingly no contact with one another, what he came to believe is that according to him, these abductions are being carried out by extraterrestrials in order to create human-alien hybrids, in order to colonize the planet, and that they're amongst us as we speak. Now, this is pretty outlandish. I haven't talked to as many people as this guy has about their first-hand alien abduction stories, though, so who really knows? But from where I stand, this is pretty hard to believe. What do you all think, though? Let us know in the comments. And at number 5, we have another David story, David Huggins. Huggins is an artist with most of his work depicting extraterrestrial beings. For him, these aren't pieces of fantastical work, though. They are depictions of his first-hand accounts with alien abductions, which he claims to have had a lot of. His odd experiences with aliens began when he was just 8 years old, and it persisted as he grew up. Perhaps his strangest story is how he met an alien named Crescent, who, according to him, was actually a hybrid. And the story goes that Huggins did a lot more than hugging with this strange entity. Yes, his first time was with a human-alien hybrid. He also claims to have had over 50 children with her who visited him along with Crescent. They're also accompanied by several of your classic gray aliens and insectoid-type beings who are their leaders. All sounds pretty legit to me. Honestly, whether any of this is true or not, whether it's just a big hoax he's concocted for fun, or if he actually believes what he says, he seems to be living his best life, making some pretty cool art out of it as well, so I'm into it. Check some of the paintings out. Kind of creepy, but interesting. Next on the list, we have Simon Parkes. Simon Parkes is a British politician and self-proclaimed alien abductee who has gained attention for his interesting claims about his experiences with extraterrestrial beings. Claims to have been contacted by a 9-foot-tall green alien who claimed to be his true mother when he was a baby. According to Parkes, his mother, who he...
To lower global emissions by 2030, we need to change the way our highways move. With sustainably powered EV